Welcome back, everyone, to a very special episode of Norton Man Reviews. I'm John, and I had to do this issue of X-Men. After watching the last episode of X-Men 97, episode number 9, I had to bust this issue out and talk about it. And if you've seen the episode, then you'll know why. This is X-Men number 25, Fatal Attractions storyline. It's an X-Men anniversary issue. They were doing this with all the major X-Men books at the time, which was X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, X-Force, X-Factor, and then Wolverine. I think they went in order of X-Factor, X-Force, Uncanny X-Men, this, and then Wolverine, number 75. So let's take a look at the special this holographic card of Cool Gambit there. It's an Andy Kubert drawing if I've ever seen one. That looks pretty good. It's coming up on the camera pretty well. And, you got to give a shout out to Gambit for the episode number 5 of X-Men 97. The cool shit that happened in that episode, like the tragic shit that happened in that episode, where Gambit, spoiler alert, died. Sorry if you're not watching the show, but cool episode that was. So, let's take a look at this double page cover. You got Wolverine. I mean, this isn't much of a spoiler on the cover, is it? I feel going into this issue, I remember years ago, we knew what was going to happen. Whether it was in interviews that we read or something that we saw. I remember years ago when this was happening, and this came out 1993. So, fucking 30 years ago, man. And we knew it was like an anniversary issue, and someone, like one of the writers, mentioned somewhere that Magneto was going to do something to Wolverine. And Master of Magnetism controls metal, going up against Wolverine, like what else was he going to do but rip out his fucking metal from his body, right? Wolverine is known for his claws, for his healing ability, for his metal inside his, laced over his bones. That's what he's known for. What else could it be? I think I was talking with my brother Rob, and I had suggested, like, well, maybe he forces Wolverine to kill someone. That would be kind of a fucked up thing to do, but it had to have been this. So when this issue was coming out, like, we kind of knew what was going on. So here you got, the cool cover, like that alone will grab your attention enough, especially with this holographic card. But the double spread by Andy Kubert looks good. With Gambit, Rogue, Quicksilver, Jean, Professor X there, with Wolverine getting, like, fucked up. So let's take a look and see how it relates to that latest episode of X-Men. So Fatal Attractions, and it starts with, like, let's see. Wait a minute. Where's my goddamn pointer? Hold on. Oh, there it is. So it starts out with the president of the U.S., and then let's see, Moscow, somewhere in Russia, like the leaders there. Nick Fury talking to Forge here, and they're mounting some defenses against Magneto. So Magneto came back. I don't think he'd be seen since those first few issues of X-Men when they rebooted it. X-Men number 1, 2, and 3 by Jim Lee, Chris Claremont's last storyline at the time. Magneto was presumed dead at that point, and he had come back. Where he was, what he was doing, I don't know. Why he come back and what he's doing, I don't really remember either. He had a confrontation in Uncanny X-Men, which happened right before this, where he fought the X-Men. Again, I don't know what his beef is. Just the same old Magneto shit. Like, humanity sucks. Mutants are cool. We got to do this. Like, come with me. Join me, X-Men. And he came down and he made an offer to the X-Men to join him on Asteroid M. Or is it called Avalon at this point? Whatever. Same thing. Much like he did in this latest issue of X-Men 97. There's going to be a lot of spoilers for that show. So sorry if if you don't want to know anything, you better stop now and go watch the show, then come back. So Magneto went and met with the X-Men, offered them to come with him, and in the comic books, Colossus went with him because he was upset over the death of his little sister Ileana over the legacy virus. So Colossus went off with Magneto. And so now Magneto's just, he's up there and people are scared of him. In X-Men 97, it was Rogue and Sunspot who decided to go with Magneto for various reasons that make sense. So here, humanity, Nick Fury and Forge and whoever, they activate some kind of defenses, and you got all these satellites in space that link up with each other, and it creates this grid around the Earth, as it shows there. And Magneto's like, oh, this fucked up. Warn them not to do this. Why do they seek to provoke me? And it pisses him off. And let's see. They're talking here, and I don't know where they explain it, but this basically creates a field, and a protective mesh of electromagnetic fire. The defensive actions taken by the citizens of the planet, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so a protective mesh of electromagnetic fire. So basically, if Magneto were to go, he's fine up here in space, but if he goes through this field, goes back to Earth, his powers are going to become useless. Like, they're going to neutralize his powers. And he'll basically probably fall to Earth and die as soon as he goes in, so he can't go back to Earth, and that kind of pisses him off. And so he's kind of talking like he didn't want to be a tyrant. He didn't want to be viewed as a despot like Hitler. That's why he is the way he is. But he can't just let this shit go, he decides. So he, as in X-Men 97, he is prompted through whatever actions humanity is doing against. It makes more sense in that issue than it does here, in my honest opinion, IMHO. He goes and he does what he did in X-Men 97, which is kind of cool that the writers of that show are taking so much from the comics. They did it in the original animated series with the Dark Phoenix and the Phoenix storylines, the Proteus saga. What else? They kind of did Age of Apocalypse, but not really. Kind of did Days of Future Past, but not really. But here, they're taking other storylines. They did the E is for Extinction from the new X-Men stuff, and now they're taking stuff from Fatal Attractions, and we'll see what else they take, which I think we all have a theory on, right? So Magneto goes out and he creates an electromagnetic field that covers the Earth. Cuts a swath across Earth's electromagnetic field like a battle-forged blade through soft flesh. Okay, so many words in all these old 90s comics. There's these long speeches that they all do. We're not going to get into. Just all these text boxes. Okay. So, but this field or this attack or whatever you want to call it goes out over the Earth, right? It just cuts across, and it just cuts out all technology, cuts off all power. So it hits Manhattan and New York first, right? So they're in a blackout there. There's Thing getting out of the shower. He's yelling at Reed Richards. He's like, what did you do? Some experiment that made the power go out? He's like, no, it's not happening. It wasn't me. Pulse wave hit us unlike anything I've ever encountered. It swept right above us and shows no signs of abating. So Manhattan, seconds after Magneto's detonation. Los Angeles, 2 minutes after detonation, is hitting that shit. Tokyo, Japan, you see Sunfire here, which I kind of actually like this outfit. It's different, and I don't know, it's kind of a 90s thing with all this weird technological shit, but it's not that original costume he had, and it's not the Age of Apocalypse costume. This is kind of a cool look. But he sees it. That's 5 minutes after detonation. The Kremlin, Moscow, 6 minutes after detonation hits them. Braddock Manor in England for Excalibur, 8 minutes after detonation. So there's Nightcrawler and Captain Britain. They're like, what the? I can't fucking say that. He's like, fuck, what happened? He's like, I don't know, but, we'll be fine. Goes across the Atlantic Ocean 11 minutes after detonation. The entire planet has been cast in its pall. And where there are no screams of panic and fear, a chilling blanket of silence covers the world. So power is out across the entire world, which happened in the X-Men 97. When you think about it, and they do explain later why that's such a big deal, right? So there's Beast and Banshee, and they're working on shit to try to get like power back somehow. So you got X-Men here, both blue and gold teams, plus a few others. There's Psylocke, Bishop, Gambit, Jubilee, Wolverine, Storm, Rogue, Banshee, Moira, I'm guessing Cyclops, that must be Quanon. And I guess she's in the body of the original Betsy Braddock Psylocke. They switched bodies, basically. Iceman, Archangel, Jean Grey, Beast, Professor X. So, it's fucking eyebrows, man. You know what I mean? So, Fabian Nicieza, Andy Kubert, Matt Ryan, inker, cool stuff, right? So now they start telling, like, this sucks, and this is what's going on. Blah, blah, blah. This is explaining more of, like, how they put up the defensive grid to keep Magneto out, so if he comes in, like, it's intended to protect humanity without the appearance of intended provocation. And Gambit's like, oh, that worked like a charm. And then he goes on to explain an electromagnetic explosion sent a pulse wave across the planet. In retaliation, Magneto has effectively rendered the mechanical and technological resources of the entire planet completely useless. And it's like, it's bad. It's real bad. And Rogue, how bad? We don't know for certain. They talk about how they're only online because of the Shi'ar technology they have, which again in X-Men 97 they kind of mentioned. It allows them to operate independently, but they fear hundreds, perhaps thousands, have died from plane crashes and medical equipment failure and whatever else. So they're talking about just how bad it is, and like, we have to do something about this. We have to stop Magneto. If we don't stop him for good, possibly, then the planet will be lost. So later they have a plan. The Cyclops isn't happy with it. You know, like, you not like it because you don't like the plan, or because you're not included. It's like kind of a little bit of both. Then there's some quoting that he does. Who cares? Beast is always quoting stuff. And then Professor X, he has this suit. The Shi'ar exoskeleton operates on psionic energy. For every step I take is a giant leap for mutant kind. Is it? I guess. So he's going on the mission. And Scott and Jean are like, okay, that's cool, but, you're not like a battle operative, But, it's Professor Xavier. He's got to go on something important as this. So then they go on to explain the team they selected. So you got Wolverine and Gambit here, combining the best elements of stealth, subterfuge, and guile to infiltrate Magneto's base. Okay. And then you got Jean and Professor Xavier with telepathic prowess to attack him at his weakest point, his tortured soul. And then Quicksilver and Rogue. Where was Quicksilver? He wasn't in this. He wasn't in this. He just must have showed up. As well as speed, strength, and the strong desire to settle unresolved emotional conflict. So Quicksilver is Magneto's son. Rogue, and Magneto probably did a little banging. And then Cyclops is like, and if we're inside a space station, some of like our more high octane energy wielders, like him, Storm, probably Bishop, they probably not a good idea, but they're talking about what of some of the others? What about Beast, Archangel, Iceman, those who fought Magneto the longest, and like they have more experience. And Beast kind of mentions like, "Oh, you think this is a suicide mission, so if you don't come back, you want us to carry on." And Xavier's kind of silent. So they're basically going on a suicide mission. So they're all just getting ready. There's Gambit and Rogue here getting on spaceships, spacesuits, kind of talking about what's going on. And Rogue's like, if push comes to shove, whose side am I going to be on? At this point, like, she likes Magneto. Like, she still has kind of feelings for him. But she's not, like, pissed off like she was in the show. She's not ready to join him at a moment's notice, like in that show. So as they're getting ready, more speeches. Professor Xavier, he's, like, just kind of giving a speech like, hey, you guys are all cool. X-Men rule, don't ever give up, that kind of stuff. And they get on this, like, teleporter, and they're teleporting on instead of taking a ship. So they teleport on, and Beast, quoting some more Shakespeare. So up on Avalon, or Asteroid M, they appear there, and they're like, we got to be prudent, we got to be quick. There's no telling what kind of security systems like Magneto has. And there's somebody watching on a security monitor, and it's Colossus, but he turns it off there. Internal security sensor override activated. Biosignatures of intruders no longer registering as anomalous anomalous presence as per override command. So Colossus is up there, and he sees them, but he's like letting them go on, even though he's with them. So some of the acolytes here are like, hey, what's going on? What's going on Earth? He's like, nothing's going on. Not on Earth. And they're like, good, because they don't want to fuck with us and Magneto. You're like, yeah, that's what's going on. Old Joe Mad art of the X-Men. Pizza with the X-Men. Good times. Remember when, like, Pizza Hut was, like, such a cool thing as a kid? You go get personal pan pizzas for, like, doing certain stuff. That was such a big deal when you were a kid. Anyways. I just date myself. So many kids were like, oh, that never happened to me. Yeah, anyways. Back. So they're sneaking through the base, and they come up to Rusty and Skids. Oh, Rusty. Where's Rusty? He's not here. Anyways. Rusty and Skid Marks. And so they are part of the New Mutants, I guess, at one point, but they've been with Magneto for a while. And they start, like, philosophically debating them. And Wolverine's ready to fuck some people up. I'm like, we're here by choice, blah, blah, blah. Xavier's like, yeah, fuck this. We don't have time for this, so we just put them to sleep. Like, we got more important things to worry about right now. So, they have a disc here, and he gives it to Quicksilver, and he goes running through as Xavier is telepathically guiding him. And he goes whooshing by this one acolyte, inserts the disc, and whooshes back. And this guy doesn't even notice. That's how fast Quicksilver is. And so we're going to see what this does. Nice shot of Rogue there. And they're talking about how this is, like, going too easy. Like, Wolverine's expecting an ambush, but Jean's like, I don't know. I think we ambushed them. They don't even know what's going on, which makes the simplicity very frightening. But Xavier's like, no, I'm satisfied. Like, I like what's going on here. So they activate whatever they're doing. Engage procedure override 2-1 alpha, some Star Trek lingo. And all the acolytes, they start being teleported somewhere. They should have just teleported them into space. That'd be fucked up, right? But no, they're being teleported into, like, these escape pods. There's Exodus there. And he's like, what the fuck is going on? I thought Exodus would be powerful enough, like, he could probably just blast out of that and fly through space. Maybe he doesn't. But, like, you can see, like, the escape pods are being ejected, right? So the acolytes are gone. Why it didn't happen with Magneto? Magneto definitely would have worked on him. But they probably need to get him to reverse what he's doing anyways. So, as expected, here comes Magneto. He comes busting in all of a sudden. That looks like one image, but it's not. That's like a panel break right there. Oh, hey, Rusty, we're just talking about you. Do you want to come say hi or do you want to lick your butt? Hey, not you dogs. Get out of here. Damn dogs. Rusty will make his way up here, I'm sure. So anyways, Magneto, he's like, what the fuck have you done? He's like, I offered them hope and truth, opportunity and accomplishment. I thought he was talking about humans, but no, he's talking about his acolytes and the mutants that he's allowed up here. I offer them hope and truth, opportunity, and accomplishment, and I will continue to do so for all mutants whom I deem worthy. Yeah, so basically he just doesn't want the X-Men to interfere. I won't let your X-Men stop me again. Dun, dun, dun. So Wolverine's like, fuck you! Someone's saying, ouch, ouch, ouch. That's Rogue. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Anyways, Wolverine's ready to, like, fuck him up, get this done, get it over with. Ah, Logan, we dance the dance again and again. You've never learned the steps very well, have you? So he just throws Wolverine to the side because, of course, he's made of fucking metal. And Rogue attempts to, talk to him, talk him down. But, Magneto doesn't want to hear shit from nobody. And he, uses his powers to, wrap around her throat and starts choking her. Jean starts attacking him, I guess. But Xavier's like, no, let the others occupy him. We need to concentrate on what we're doing. So they link arms and they join their minds in a psi-link. The others must provide the chaos we need, not the opposite, blah, blah, blah. And so he basically says what we need to do is we need to strike at his very core with the expectation that at the root of his goals and his obsessions, Magneto's life is built on a fragile sense of failure. That deep down inside, Magnus must know that his way is utterly, utterly wrong. So they're going to basically force him to change his mind. And, they have these big, long fucking speeches everywhere in the middle of this battle. She's like, but that's wrong, goes against everything you ever taught me, just to, take away someone's free will. But Gambit's like, fuck that, let's take him out. So we've got an ace of clubs, ace of hearts, ace of spades. Throwing at, oh my god, hits him right in the goddamn face. So that, with the attack on his mind from these two, he starts having these horrible kind of memories and nightmares of his past. Starts fucking with him, right? So again, long speeches, and he starts attacking at Gambit, hurling this debris at him, and Gambit's ducking and diving and dodging. If you can dodge debris, you can dodge a ball, kind of a thing. But he finally gets him right across the mouth, which he said. Rogue, that pisses her off. You hurt him! And again, fucking long speech. She clobbers him right upside the head. That should probably knock him out, right? But no, it doesn't. Again, being mind-fucked from the other two. Quicksilver comes in from out of nowhere, knocks his goddamn helmet off. And at this point, I don't think his helmet really protected him from anything because he's obviously getting his mind fucked over here. His helmet does not protect him from the telepathic powers. That I think only came from the first X-Men movie, and then was adopted later in comics, and the X-Men 97 pulled that out too. So Magneto and Quicksilver here, they start fucking talking and long speeches about how much they hate each other, how each other's a disappointment. Magneto's still being mind fucked, so that's fucking with him. Quicksilver is just like, you fucking suck as a dad. Look, and I'm unable to love freely and trust willingly. Afraid to truly live a life with my wife and daughter, and blaming that on Magneto. And again, these long goddamn speeches, there's so much words in these. It might work when you're reading the comic, but in a realistic sense, it doesn't quite work. So he shoos him away because he's wearing some metal, so maybe you should take that fucking shit off, Quicksilver. Take you less than a second, literally. And he's like, I cannot allow you to betray me, become my Judas. And like, it's painful for me, but my son must be slain. Who fucking talks like that? Must be slain. That word slain. Like, you can't be fucking, like, you can't be killed or murdered or whatever. But there's Wolverine in the background. He's going to come at him again. And boy, oh boy, does he. That just ain't going to happen. And is again more mindfuckery coming on. And Wolverine slashes at him here. In the cartoon, if you saw, which I'm sure and hope that you did, Wolverine just like fucking stabbed him. The first time in an X-Men animated, this version of the X-Men, the Wolverine's actually like stabbed somebody. He's always, fucking up Sentinels and other things like that, but he's never able to let loose with his claws. He did in the direct-to-video Hulk versus Wolverine, and that was some kind of cool, adult stuff, and he was able to do something there, but they actually showed blood. He actually stabbed Magneto. This X-Men 97 is much more for adults. But, like in that, Wolverine's taking him out here. There's more blood in that cartoon than there is in this comic. Logan, what have you done? And they're like chit-chatting back here. More fucking speeches. And Jean's noticing what's going on. Oh my god, look at this fucking long speech. Between these two. It's not even between these guys. They're like, oh, Magneto, he's bleeding so bad. He survived worse. Power is nothing, Jean. You have it, I have it, blah, blah. Oh my fucking god, Jesus. Anyways, getting back to the important shit that's going on. So while he's like healing over in pain, he's talking to Wolverine. Foolish, foolish man. It ends for us both now. Our long association, my most visceral enemy, my most respected foe, is over. And he, catches him in this fucking magnetic field or whatever. Wolverine, what do you think he was going to fucking do? Why is your sideburns coming out of your mask? Whatever. It's a choice. So here's where it happens. Magnetic fire courses through Wolverine's body. It begins with a small tug, an almost gentle pull, and a harder yank. That's also what she said. And just like you see the metal start like splutching out of his body and just like being torn out. And then a wrenching tear. You just see it coming out of like his pores and everywhere. And like these guys looking horror. And this is a line that they like, it was like word for word from X-Men 97. Oh, Magneto, for the love of God, don't do this. And here's that fucking image. This is basically what they did in that show. They pulled it right from this. I couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. I had my feelings. Like, I had my thoughts as the way the show was going and what Magneto had done. I'm like, wait a minute, that's what he did in Fatal Attractions, right? Oh my God, they're going to have to stop Magneto. He's going to pull Wolverine's goddamn skeleton out. And then Xavier's going to do to him what he does. It's not quite, we're going to get there. We'll talk about it. But this was crazy. This was the image that the last one left on. And I thought it was so cool. I was like so on board. Because like this entire season of X-Men 97, Wolverine has not been a main focus at all. Wolverine is arguably the most popular member of X-Men, right? He's one of the most popular characters in all of comic books. Probably top 5 in Marvel, definitely top 10, maybe top 10 in all of comic books, including DC. He's just that popular. Like the vigilante, the anti-hero kind of thing craze that was going on in the 90s, it all started from him. Ghost Rider, Punisher, characters like Spawn, to a lesser extent Batman for a while, but like it was Wolverine who like really started that craze where everyone was kind of like a anti-hero kind of a thing. Venom, that's why they made him kind of a good guy back in the 90s. We go on and on, especially with Marvel. So, but I was kind of fine with, in X-Men 97, him not being the focus. They made him the focus of the movies, and I kind of get it, especially when you got a guy like Hugh Jackman playing the role so well. but they focus on other X-Men in the show and the other, like, the more overall storylines, and I really, really was liking that. Even though Wolverine is my favorite character of X-Men, my favorite character of any comic book character is Wolverine. I was getting annoyed at the show a little bit about how, like, okay, he doesn't need to be the main focus, but you got to have him do something. Have him do something cool. And they did in the episode right before this, episode 8, where him and Nightcrawler were fucking up those Prime Sentinels. He's, like, flying through the air, like, oh my god, yeah, Wolverine is doing something awesome. He's taking out people. He's doing something. But then, like, now he's a major focus point for what's going on and what's going forward. You can't ignore this shit. So there's a long speech here. Jeez. Whatever. He's giving a long quote. We were bit players in a tragedy called life. Perhaps from you, me, the curtain falls, the play is finished. And then it talks here, Wolverine doesn't scream. He doesn't even have time, as though adamantium, which long ago was bonded to the very bones, is destabilized on a molecular level, ripped from its moorings, and forced through his open wounds. All right. Erupting outward like water bursting through a dam. As he falls, the stillness of pure horror surrounds the killing ground, broken only by the voice of one person who has, since the day she first met him, and perhaps always will, love him, and it's Jean Grey yelling out Logan. So that's kind of a, Jean has feelings for him, which they kind of explored in X-Men 97. I wonder how they're going to do that. So he's all fucked up, and Professor Xavier, he's like, okay, that was the last straw. I can't believe you did this. People are like, why do they send Wolverine against Magneto if he has this medal? Which is a valid point. You probably shouldn't. But at the same time, you're kind of thinking they never thought Magneto, as a villain, he's never been evil for the most part. They never expected him to do this. Xavier could have mind wiped him at any point, but Magneto wouldn't expect him to do that. They don't expect Magneto to do this to him or murder anybody like this, but here it is. So, shouldn't be a surprise, but it is. So because of that, there's long debates, long speeches here, just yelling and pissed off at him. And this is the moment, right? This is another huge moment. Like, the big moment is this, right? But this has been a very important moment too. And for those who watched my videos in the past and my long coverage of the Onslaught storyline, this is where all that starts from. Professor Xavier mind-wiping Magneto. And in that moment, when their minds touched, it was actually in an issue of Wolverine where he was Stupid Wolverine and he was with Elektra, and they went on some like acid trip with Gateway, and they saw a little essence of Magneto hook onto him, which caused Magneto. So Wolverine started blaming himself. Like, if I didn't lose it, do this, go after Magneto, he wouldn't have done that, which wouldn't have forced Professor Xavier to do this, which wouldn't have turned him into Onslaught, which means the Avengers and Fantastic Four wouldn't have had a horrible reboot by Rob Liefeld and Jim Lee. So he attacks him there. It's like, Charles, I never thought you would, and he falls over, falls unconscious, and he's like fucking not a coma, but he's fucking brain dead. He's like a vegetable. I took his mind away from him. God forgive me. His ego, his nightmares, I took them all. Greatest weapons. So, Jean Grey, with her telekinetic power, she's trying to keep Wolverine together. And they're trying to figure out a way. We have to teleport back now. And here's Colossus suddenly. And he says, you can't teleport. The battle's taken off most of Avalon's systems offline. I've sent a signal to the mansion. Bishop is coming in a modified Blackbird. So the X-Men are on their way. For the sake of Logan, even the professor, recommend you leave quickly. And they're like, well, what about you? And he says, I'm staying. Magneto's been left in a vegetative state. He'll need someone to care for him. This all, like, I saw I went through issues of X-Men where, like, you see the aftermath of all this. So Colossus is kind of feeling responsible. He's like, I prevented you, Avalon, from detecting you, which made all this happen. It's like, maybe if I hadn't interfered, didn't let you guys come on, Wolverine wouldn't be all fucked up, Magneto wouldn't be fucked up. So even though like the station is kind of all like destroyed, the X-Men leave and there's Colossus alone with Magneto. And that's how this issue ends. The story continues in Wolverine number 75. And then the X-Men face a stunning loss. And then there's the blood ties with the Avengers, a crossover with the Avengers after that. So there it is. I wasn't planning on doing this issue so soon. I do have this issue. I have Wolverine number 75. I was kind of waiting to see if I could get my hands on some of the other X-Men Fatal Attractions books. But after that episode of X-Men, I just had to do this. You know, I had to get it out. I had to talk about it. Get my thoughts out. Good, cool comic book. The cartoon is just, it's so good. I'm loving it so much. It's turning into one of my favorite like Marvel produced shows on Disney Plus. One of my favorite cartoons. I mean, it's only one season. Has a hard time beating the Batman animated series and the Justice League Unlimited series. But it's on its way, and if it keeps going the way it is, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like one of my favorite like adult cartoons of all time. So I'm probably like, once that series ends, I'm going to do a video reviewing that series and giving my thoughts on the entire thing, what I liked, what I didn't, what I thought worked, what I hope is going to happen. Spoiler alert, I put a post on my channel here, and I mean, with all this going on, with this being the beginning of Onslaught, is Onslaught going to show up in the series next season? I mean, a lot of us have our thoughts on what the Onslaught story was and how it kind of wasn't as cool as it should have been. But could that animated series do justice and make it even better? I'm kind of thinking it could, so I'm excited for that. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening me ramble on. I think I'm going to do Wolverine number 75 pretty soon, so we can see what happens to Wolverine and the big revelation that is revealed there. So thank you for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next video.